Right, so now we can go to my channel. And we're gonna grab. Alright, so I'm gonna grab this, share, copy. Doing it live from Discord. Hell yeah. Alright, there we go. Okay. Now, we're good to go. Alright, we are live, motherfucker. What up, what up, what up? Welcome back to Pnoid News. Man, listen. So, you know what I mean? I got the idea today to, you know what I mean, like, come out here. Yo, what up, Adam? You know what I'm saying? I come out here and, you know, why are you watching me, bro? Like, you shouldn't. Oh, wait, that's why. Yeah, okay. No, go back to where we were. Let's go back to this. There we go. Cancel. Let's do that. All right, there we go. Okay, much better. All right, so anyway, right? Yeah. So like, I got the idea today where, like, you know, I wrote a Substack article and I had somebody give me money to like donate, and I was like, well, you know what? You know what I mean? Like, real shit. Y'all can just donate. You know what I mean? Directly to the fund. It'd probably be like way better. So I got the Amazon wish list listed in the description. You know what I mean? It's in a pinned message. If you guys want to like buy things for, you know what I mean, the whatchamacallit, you can. You want to drop it to my Streamlabs and I'll do it for you. We can, you know what I mean? Make sure I get y'all a shout out when you do so. You know what I mean? But I figure, you know what I mean, it's probably like a positive thing in the end of the day. You know what I mean? That's kind of where we are. We're collecting donations for Ashville, down in North Carolina. They got devastated by Hurricane Helene. And me and General was gonna sit here and just talk about like regular ass dumb bullshit, you know what I mean, that's going on right now. By the way, General, did you hear the strike got broken? What up? Well, we should be like giving our money to, you know what I mean, like people who, you know what I mean, are coming here to drop our wages. That way, you know what I mean, like, you know, we can make sure that the corporations have more, you know what I mean, ability to operate, and we can get like more cheap plastic shit that we don't need. You know what I mean? That's the important thing. Yeah. Right. It's kind of where I'm at. What about the strike? Yeah, so the strike ended up getting broken today. You know, I mean, the workers went back to work because, you know, I mean, they offered them a 61% raise, and they're going to work until January 28th. Which, by the way, whoever president's going to come in is going to have to deal with that. You know what I mean? Right after. Well, it's over 6 years, right? So basically, here's the math. The math is they're getting $5 an hour a year. Dude, listen, that's it's un-American. You know what I mean? Have you ever? Did you like ever look at any of the comments on some of these like places and shit, like CNBC, that's talking about these things? Yeah, it's really fucking bad. You know what I mean? Right? Like it's really shitty, just as a whole. You know what I mean? Like fucking our fellow Americans like don't like our fellow Americans and shit. No, no. I have been assured that there is a crack team of Harvard educated professionals running, you know what I mean, the country at the moment. Yeah. There's, you know what I mean, like a bunch of like fucking, you know, fucking 25-year-olds, you know what I mean, in the White House that are actually like running the whole operation that is this country at the second. Yes. Well, they're the most important type, you know what I mean, because, you know, they did the work of completely conforming to the system, right? Mm. Oh, shit. You can only hear me. God damn it. That makes, yeah. Okay. Hang on a second, bro. We have to adjust this. Hang on a second. Uh, Properties. This is gonna, say some shit.
Hi.
All right, there we go. Say more stuff.
Hi, hello, hi.
Okay, we're good. Okay, cool. I apologize. I had to switch over to like the motherfucking Yeti Nano fucking headphones and shit. You know what I mean, to make sure that like, we could actually hear you. But yeah, man, like things are fucking great in this country as a whole. You know what I mean? Things are going well, I would say. They're gonna automate us all out of jobs. You know what I mean? Me and Mr. Google were talking about this last night.
Oh,
We
yeah.
actually had like a really good conversation about this, right? And it's something that I wanted to like conversate with you about, right?
Mm.
Okay, so I was doing math, right, in my head. So there's 12 million truck drivers, right? There's probably like 6 million, probably 6 to 8 million jockey drivers across the country, and like every warehouse there's like 5 or 6 of them, right? There's, all like the motherfucking crane operators all over the country. There's all the people that drive like Uber and taxis and fucking deliver shit, right? There's all these human beings that they'd eliminate out of the economy. By the time you're done, you're talking about like 30 or 40 million human beings that you would probably eliminate out of the economy by automation in the next like 5 to 10 years,
Okay.
right? Now, our entire like economy is 160 million people. That's all the people that work.
Yeah, sounds about right.
So if you take 25% and you add it to the other 160 million, right? You know what I'm saying? You're going to drop wages by 25%, right? And what'll end up happening is the only people who aren't going to be automated out of the economy will be the government workers, those 20 million people who work for the government.
Well, that's the safest and most secure job going forward. Government work.
Well, have you ever heard about what's going on in Bangladesh?
I have not. I don't pay attention to Bangladesh.
Yeah, I feel you, bro. Like there was an article that I covered, right? So in Bangladesh, they just had like a massive uprising of students, right? Because the students are upset that they don't have access to government jobs because when like they fought their like civil war revolution, the agreement was it was a new government that was formed that the people, their kids and their grandkids would have the right, to have like a certain percentage of government jobs saved for them, right? It started off at like 40, then it went to 20, then it went like a 10%, right? Well, they were so upset about like this practice of like, the people who fought and died for the fucking, the country to form it and the government, that they sat here and took to the streets and overthrew the fucking government again, right? Because the only jobs that were worth the shit in the entire country were the government jobs.
And I assume that they're not suffering a massive influx of immigrants. This is just
Oh
their own
no,
issue.
not Bangladesh. They have a they don't have immigration problems. They have people who leave to go to like India to go work, right? Which is bananas, right? When you think about it. Or they go to Saudi Arabia. You know what I mean?
Right. Saudi Arabia makes sense. Yeah, they'll take your passport, they'll enslave you, but they'll pay you relatively well.
I mean, they'll pay you. Because that's a whole, you'll have a job, which is important. Unlike Bangladesh, where there won't be any fucking job for you at all.
Right.
And that'll be the system that America has, where like basically you'll have a patron state of a bunch of people who live in cities and pods and play video games, all day long, and eat the bugs, right? And then you'll have like government workers, right, who, don't really do anything all day. They just move paperwork from one office to another, right? And then you'll have like the military and CIA and NSA, right? And that'll be like the whole thing.
It's really difficult to make an economy function when it's all just government work. You can't. It does. It's really difficult to make that operate correctly. The communists tried it. It's not easy.
I mean, Jason Long, a serf system would actually be better, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, a serf system would actually be better because, like, with the serfs in medieval, like, Europe or whatever, right, they actually had rights to the land, that they farmed, right? And you couldn't kick them off of it.
I actually, I'm looking. I don't understand Jason Long's point here. Neo-feudalism is what we currently operate under. I mean, we already have that.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Well, I mean, like, what?
I mean, we already have that. That's it. That's what we operate under. I mean, have we? We, as far as I can tell, we exist in kind of like a structure, where people are actively kept down by the corporate government machine. The haves have pulled up the ladder because they don't want to be in competition with the have-nots. So fuck it, you want to make sure that there is no way for the have-nots to actually become haves. And I think that they've been actually very effective at ensuring that the have-nots can never achieve what the haves have, and that's just smart business. It's based.
Yeah, I mean, it's always smart business to make sure you fuck over, everybody else that's under you so you can stay on top, right?
You got to stay on top, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like this is a really shitty system, but I mean,
Well, it's actually a fantastic system for those that are on top of the system. Come on.
Yeah, but it's a shitty system, like, just as a whole, you know what I mean? Like, it's just a shitty system, just in general. Right, I mean, like, you'll have, like, a lot of people, like, I was over here reading the comments on this, like, CNBC article, right, that I think Ironbeard sent to me, right? Hang on, man, I don't want to really share DMs, right, but, you know what I mean, fucking, there was one that he fucking sent to me, right, that was, like, really fucking good, right? Was it him? It might not have been him. Oh, no, it wasn't. It was in my general chat. Right, hang on a second. Hold on. Right, listen. Right. Yeah, because, like, that's where I found out about this shit, right?
Bro, don't go making DMs live. Jesus Christ.
Listen, no, you're fine. Relax. You know what I mean? Here we go. Okay. So, I'm gonna share my fucking screen so you can see it, right? Calm down, bro. I mean, there ain't shit in the DMs that, like, anybody's worried about. It's not like motherfuckers are over here sending nudes and shit. You know what I mean? Right? You know, like, that's kind of where we are. All right, so, and that way, like, everybody at home everybody watching the stream can see this shit too. All right.
I'm watching.
All right. Can you see it?
Yep.
All right, so here's. Oh wait, fucking they can't see it. All right, so here's what, like, they said, right? Okay, this is like after, you know what I mean, like, them saying, like, they broke the strike or whatever it was, you know what I mean, like, they're gonna push off the automation thing and they're probably just gonna automate it, right? They said, "Thank you, Governor DeSantis. Your actions scared the shit out of the Dems. They didn't want to see Florida ports open, working because of Republican government solving the problem. Exactly, and using the National Guard to offload ships was also a good move. Union leadership blinked when DeSantis made the public statement. They were asking for a 67% wage increase. They were offered 50%. They were willing to settle on 61 on wages. They did well. Hang on. Okay, the story. Alternative plan was like a D9 cats in high gear pushing these striking loafers to the side of the dock. An announcement that applications were being accepted for all non-immigrant workers would be happy to work for the existing wage benefit packages would have worked out just as well, if not better. That's a union that needs to go away along with their mafia wannabe boss, right? He said, the broad blows us, our Uncle Ben, Faggy, or whatever, said he's a wannabe mafia guy. He is a mafia. He's not a wannabe mafia guy. He is a mafia guy, right? He's not paid by taxes or our government. He's paid by the members that have strike. One strike of 50 years fixed in 3 days. I'd say union members are getting their money's worth. He's paid by employees that are forced to pay him right to work, right? Like, look, like, bro, listen, like, this is the fucking problem. You know what I'm saying? You know what I
Well,
mean?
I don't know. I would ask like how much were the union workers going to expect outside of the 61% increase over the next 5 years? Like, was it going to be like a 25% increase or whatever to at least?
Well, their contract was up, so they weren't going to get anything.
Then in that case, they did a great fucking job. I mean, I have to. I personally have no qualms with unions. I in that case, the unions did a good job. I support this.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean? Fucking this shit, you know what I mean, is, you know, it aggravates me that these, like, fucking people, you know what I mean, as a whole, like, have been so propagandized, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, that they fucking literally just don't care about, like, the other people in this fucking, you know what I mean, in this fucking country. And they don't understand, like, yo, with these guys making more money, that means everybody in the city is going to make more money because they now have more money to spend in the fucking city. You know what I mean? Right? They're going to end up having more cash, like, passing around for, like, local restaurants and fucking businesses and fucking, you know what I mean, like, housing and all the shit. Like, it builds up. When you have, like, workers with more money, then you have more money in the city, right? You have better wages. You have better, like, economy.
Then the workers are more able to go to a restaurant, and then restaurants make more money and all that kind of shit. Yeah. It passes on.
Right, yeah. This is how you build an economy, right? You know what I mean? You have a decent middle class that has, like, expendable income.
Well, yeah, but I'm pretty sure that the Dallas group doesn't want to have a middle class, so like we do need to consider that.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Right, this is kind of where shit's at, right? Like, this is, you know what I mean, fucking, they just, you know what I mean, like, they want to fucking stand here and just have, like, you know, fucking immigrant, you know what I mean, fucking patrons, right, who just do whatever the fuck they tell them because they're thankful to be here, and if they fucking try to rise up and, like, fucking demand more, they'll just send them the fuck back home.
See, that like I think that is what they like truly want. They want to have like an underclass, but that is it's not actually how you build an economy. Like they're so greedy and selfish. Like they're it's like I was having this conversation the other day with somebody who was like he's like a CEO of like some sort of like firm or whatever the fuck, and 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 I was like, hey, like, don't you think that you should plan for the future, like instead of hiring a whole bunch of migrants to perform a shittier job, like but pay them less and therefore like reduce costs and increase profit. Like what if you just like kept like the good employees on, even though you have to pay them a bit more, they're actually good employees, and over like a long enough timeline, they will actually produce a bounty for your company. It was like, yeah, no, absolutely, I want to do that, but my job as a CEO is to reduce spending and increase profit for the next quarter. Anything beyond that, and you're actually not doing your fiduciary responsibility. And I'm like, shit. That is actually the job of the CEO. It's not to increase profits in the next 10 years. It's to increase profits within the next quarter so that you make the stakeholders happy. And it's like actually all it seems as though like all fucking companies in America are basically a hold of those standards. There's something very rotten about that. But that's America. Welcome to America. Hell yeah.
Yeah, so, like, all right, check this out. I was sitting here, like, this is the type of shit I'm talking about. This, if it's Fiverr person, right? Please look up the starting salary of an ILI member. It's ridiculous. Their officers make over $200,000 starting. They're talking about high school diplomas here, not in a difficult or complex trade. The ILI also doesn't allow outsiders. You have to have a connection, whether it's a family member or whatever. The vast majority of Americans have not gotten inflation raises. This is where shit gets retarded, right? This is the retarded part of this, right? Like, yo, this idea that like you shouldn't have gotten a raise is stupid, right? We all deserve to get this fucking raise because like inflation happened, right? Like, yo, the fact that one person, like these group of people fucking fought to get that shit is a positive thing, right? And then they say, do not feel sorry for these thieves. They're greedy and I hope their organization implodes from the inside. From the amazing stupidity of it all, American ports are notoriously the slowest and least organized in the Western world because of the ILI. We are ranked below some third world nations because of how bad these unions are at their jobs. Here's the thing, right? They're like, well, our ports are super inefficient. And I'm like, that's Ironbeard just last night. We were talking. I said, who the fuck are they competing with?
Who are they competing with?
No one. They can't.
Yeah,
Literally. They have to be here. They're not competing with anyone. So who gives a fuck? Goods move. What, are you going to use the port in Bangladesh to get shit in here? Are you going to use the port of like fucking, in Nepal to get things to America? You're going to use a port in London?
Crab bucket shit, dude. It's crab bucket shit.
Yeah.
Hey, what's going on, Space Brain?
What up, man?
Hey.
Right? Yeah, this is where shit's at, right? The end of the day. Fucking like
everyone's a hater.
Yeah, they're just upset because of the fact that like, yo, they've been taught like this is all what the hell is it called? This is like this fucking Pavlovian training that Americans have, right? They just have like this automatic response because we're the most propagandized people in the entire history of humanity.
It's misdirection. So the line that gets me when I hear it, when they're criticizing people wanting to be paid well for their work, right? It's like, well, the consumer's going to pay for it. Like, yo, the consumer pays for everything. What do you do these people like? You stop paying once you stop going to a store for a good that came off a ship. No, do these people, these consumers, do they live somewhere? Do they pay property? Like, it's the dumbest shit.
Well, for some goddamn reason, we think that everyone in America should be paid, at a global rate. We should, people should be, a Mexican coming over here.
Listen, we should make the same wages as the Chinese. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, we have to compete with Chinese labor. It's important.
Or the Mexicans or the fucking Russians or whatever the fuck. Like, no, our workers should be valued exactly the same as whatever the minimum wage is throughout the entire world. And it's like, wait, we have a fucking country here. Like, why the fuck is it like? Why would we
do that?
I guess lower ourselves to the fucking national worldwide minimum wage. But some people think that's a good idea. It's genuinely confusing to me. But
it's a classist argument. They're trying to brainwash people to think as if they own shit, and they don't. So they're working as the cogs in the machine while being trained to take the opinions of the owners. It's sophisticated. I think it's brilliant. I mean, good on them.
Oh, it is brilliant. This is more that systems need is trick thing, right? You know what I mean? Right, and here's another one. It said WEI, he and his longshoremen can do that, but I would bet good money that President Trump would do as President Reagan did, but the air traffic controllers went on strike and said, "Enjoy unemployment, folks. You can and will be replaced." Like, why? Like, these people do like a fucking necessity of a fucking job. They do an amazing job for having people keep up with inflation. Right, and having people keep up their fucking wages is not a bad thing. Right?
Well, no, hold on. I actually, I have a solution here, straight from the Democrats. What we do is we fire all of these port workers, and we just hire Mexicans and Indians to do the job at the lowest possible wage. That's how we increase GDP. It's simple.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. Like, this shit is like fucking ridiculous, bro. Like, I just get fucking like, it aggravates me, the normie attitudes of these fucking people, bro. Like, they piss me the fuck off.
This is typical, right? Where everyone is a trained SEAL to clap for the demise and destruction of everyone else, and they want to set a standard of living for everyone else but themselves. They'll never hold themselves accountable to the same opinion of how everyone else should live. and it's demonstrated. Like that man on the street shit cracks me up. It's like, oh, you support immigrants living, people should live in immigrants' houses. Cool. I'm glad you say so. And the guy calls over. He's like, hey, I've got 3 of them right here, ready to go to your house. Oh, no, 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 I can't. And then it makes you think like, well, maybe they're right when they say we shouldn't have free speech because these people are too stupid to speak.
Mhm.
It's another greatest trick. It's fucking brilliant.
It is brilliant. 100%. It's brilliant as fuck. You know, like I fucking, you know what I mean? Like, fucking can't believe it. Like, Jason, I'll be real, Jason Law, like, it's not about that, bro. It was about the automation thing. Right? That's a big part of it. And, like, this is what I was telling Iron yesterday. Like, real shit. Like, I haven't had a chance to talk about this here. I talked about it on my Substack. Y'all need to fucking get over there and read that shit. The basic premise is that if, you know what I mean, these fucking, like, longshoremen allow them to automate, like, the yard dogs and, like, do what they do to the ports in, you know what I mean, like the Netherlands and like the rest of the world, their union's over with, right? There is no more union. You know what I mean? That's the fucking mentality.
It negates the whole purpose of the negotiation. They could be like, yeah, sure, we'll give you 1,000,000% raise. And as soon as they bring in the robots, it's like, who cares? Doesn't matter what they negotiated.
Well, they can't negotiate anymore if there aren't any humans to negotiate with. Like 3/4 of their fucking unions are the guys who just move shit around. Right?
Isn't that kind of what they did with McDonald's, right? It's like some McDonald's workers were like, hey, we want to get paid more. And they were like, okay, sure. But like also now we have kiosks. So fuck you. They're gonna like I'm sure that McDonald's has plans to not just replace the cashiers, but also the burger flippers. Like
yeah. They're already doing that.
Yeah.
McDonald's is a little bit of a different story because McDonald's Corporation is really a real estate company, and what we're talking about is operations. It's the franchisees looking to survive because they have to pay, they have to kick up so much vig that they really have no choice.
Yeah, right. You know, well, it's not about that, right? The problem is that, you know, nobody wants to work at fucking McDonald's, and 60% of this generation went to college. You know what I mean? That's the mentality, right? Like 60% of the fucking generation went to college. They think they're above working at fucking McDonald's. You know?
Yeah,
and
that's kind of my point too. It's like the same people that want to cry foul about people wanting a raise doing hard work say that people shouldn't be working at McDonald's. You know, parents. It should be a teenager's job. It's like, well, what do you want? What box? Or just die, right? So
yeah,
like there's no options.
Like, listen, again, it's this fucking stupid thinking, right? You know what I'm saying, right? They have this mentality of like, well, I'm good, you know what I mean, at the moment. And this is what I was talking about the other day. I think me and you were conversating about this. No, it wasn't me and you. It was me and Justin Coons. We were talking about like the number one danger to like humanity isn't, you know what I mean, like racism or sexism or fucking, you know what I mean, like fucking like,
climate change. How dare you?
Yo, it's comfort. It's literally fucking comfort. It's when motherfuckers are comfortable, they won't do shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I've always had that thought. It's about calories and energy expenditure. And in a normal human being's life cycle against nature, you take in enough calories to survive for the day, and that typically is subsistence and defense with as much production as possible. And in these cities, it just expresses as anxiousness and nervous energy. So we make shit up, like we make problems. Our brains are designed to solve problems. And since there are no real problems, they have to invent them. Like, you know, mutilate your kids for clout.
Yeah.
You know, what's funny is that there are real problems, but I guess they're a little bit too esoteric for like the average person. So like they have to, you know, have gay kids or whatever the fuck. But there are real problems that need to be solved, but people don't want to pay attention to them.
Like pollution.
Well, I mean,
like
pollution is certainly a greater issue than climate change. I mean, I would agree with that. But like, I was literally like just an hour ago talking to like this British guy, And
I'm sorry.
yeah, I know. And
Was he gay?
No, he was a regular British guy. You know, I don't think he was gay. But I asked him. I was like, hey, you know, if London is no longer majority British, it's like mostly like I don't know, Middle Eastern, Polish, whatever the fuck. And I was like, would you be cool if London was like replaced by everybody else? And he was like, well, yeah, there wouldn't be anything wrong with that. I was like, oh, so
I told you he was gay. I fucking knew it. I just
yeah.
sensed it.
Okay. Well, okay. I guess that is pretty gay. But he was like, no, like for some fucking reason, if all the British people were replaced by the third world, as long as they kept their culture, then no, it would still be British. And it's like, no, it fucking wouldn't.
They're not.
No, it would not be British.
They're not even keeping their culture. It's a bitch.
Yeah, they're not even doing that. But it's like, when did we forget that that a people is not just a culture, but it is also a genetic heritage? When did we forget that? It like
the Nazis.
I guess, yeah, but fucking, dude, I swear to God, Europeans every time, like, look, Pnoid, you're an Italian. I'm more of an Anglo. I think that you and I can both recognize that the Europeans are pieces of shit, Italian or Anglo alike. Fuck the Europeans. They have no idea what the fuck is going on.
The Italians are way more based.
They're still European.
Yo, listen again. Like we literally keep electing prime ministers and governments to get rid of the immigrants. We're turning boats away and telling them to fuck off and shooting them at sea.
And yet they keep showing up.
Yeah, they're not, though.
Are you talking about Italy?
Yeah.
Dude, do you know how many fucking migrants are in Italy?
A lot.
Yeah.
But they usually what they do is they pass through, right? We force them to keep going, right? We don't let them stay there.
What was the name of that little island that got completely overrun? It was in the news for a blip last year.
What, Genoa
it's like
or
an island
Sicily?
of maybe... No, it was a really small island. It was pretty much like Italian Nantucket.
Like San Marino?
And their population, I forget, but...
Capri's?
It should ring a bell. Where their population doubled and everyone there was like, what the hell's going on? Like, why is this being allowed? And so the people were pretty patient. They were like, well, we're waiting for answers. Is someone going to do something about this? And no, they're not.
Well, they did.
Right? I wonder how they resolved it.
They did. They resolved it.
They finally kicked them out?
Yeah. Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, Italy's pretty based like that, bro. Like, see, here's the thing about Italians. We're violent. Right? And, like, the government has zero control outside of Rome.
You know, the Anglos used to be violent, but they became pacified. I'm not exactly sure why.
Y'all were setting shit on fire here recently.
They became pacified. Every single fucking Brit that I talk to is pacified as all hell.
Because they started listening to women.
Mm-hmm.
That is probably actually what happened. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. I mean, well, it's not. It's partly that, but again, it's literally. It's multiple things, right? There's a lot rolled up in this. There's the Nazis, right, which are a fucking issue. You know what I mean? There's a whole like anti-fascist thing where it's like, oh, you know, like anybody who talks about jingoism or like for anybody who talks about nationalism or like fucking, you know what I mean, your people or whatever it is, they're fucking immediately like it just makes a jump of like, oh well, that's you know what I mean, that's, you know what I mean, like jingoism, which is racism, which is fucking, you know what I mean, fascism, which is, you know what I mean, Nazis.
Can I do a hot take?
What up?
I think that the anti-Nazi movement has caused more problems than the Nazi movement.
I would tend to disagree.
Because no one knows what a Nazi is. They're just calling everything. People have lost the ability to command language.
Yeah, I would disagree with you. right?
I don't know the anti-Nazi movement. Like, I don't know, man. They've caused a lot of problems. I mean, the Nazis obviously were fucked, but
Yeah, I mean, like the Nazis didn't just kill the Jews, right? You know what I mean? Like the Nazis, like they went to war with the continent and like killed a lot of people and caused it like on both sides.
yeah,
Like,
but
a
the
lot of
ants,
Germans
but
dead, a lot of Russians dead. You know what I mean? A lot of Americans,
but
a lot of British, French.
anti-Nazi movement. I mean, they like they led to the cuckoldry of the entire Western Empire. You know, Europe, America, Australia, it's been a shit show since I guess we accepted that the anti-Nazis should be in charge. Come on, man. It's
Not like so like here's the problem, right? Correlation isn't causation, right? That's a bit of an issue. And in having the idea of correlation isn't causation, they do, right? They think that like it's corollary that, you know what I mean, when they became anti-racist and added everybody into the economy, like, you know what I mean, things expanded massively and they ended up having tons of like growth of what they call GDP, right? That's an issue. You know what I mean? So like they can stand here and go like, well, you know, fucking capitalism and our way of life has pulled, you know what I mean, like fucking 12 billion people out of poverty or whatever nonsense that they fucking claim, right? You know, and it's remotely true. Like when you open up your markets and, you know what I mean, you start competing globally and doing all these things as a third world country, you're going to pull a lot of people out of poverty if you become a massive fucking manufacturer.
Okay. It's
right?
actually I think it's actually quite simple, right?
Right.
The Nazis were like super nationalistic. They were super ethnocentric, and then everyone responded to that, and they were like, "No, we should not be ethnocentric. We should not be nationalist. We should definitely import all of the Somalians into our country. Just maximize, you know, we should be Somalia maxing, you know, that kind of shit." And like I think that. I mean, yeah, the Nazis were bad, but like the inverse, where it's like, yeah, we should genocide ourselves for like maximizing, like, you know, other third world countries colonizing our Western nations. That actually seems like even worse in a way. Like, I mean, the Nazis were bad, but the reaction to the Nazis, I think, has been even worse. Like, I don't think I'm wrong there, man.
Have you ever heard of a guy named Thomas 777?
No.
All right, so there's a dude named Thomas 777. He's like one of those bloggers like Curtis Yarvin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hang on, I'm gonna fucking do this right. Okay, so this is Thomas 777. It's fucking like writing on capitalism, right? He's one of them super duper base guys. I mean, like fucking unreally base. He's like a Chicago fucking old school Anglo dude, right? I think he's like part Polish or some shit, but like, you know, he's fucking ridiculously based, and he kind of sounds like me, which is kind of crazy. He's like a street guy, right? Walks around with like a bandana and fucking denim and shit. You know what I mean? And he's fucking yoked. Right, but this is something I think you'd be kind of interested in. I'm gonna read a little bit of it to you, right, so you can understand like exactly like his idea of shit, right? Okay, so capitalism represents a transnational consolidation of private interest, capital, and authority with ostensibly public authority while maintaining the fiction that a clear cleft exists between public and private authority, b, the system is apparently contested elections produces accountability, and c, freedom is realized by removing restrictions upon labor and capital mobility. Global capitalism is a chimera because it represents the amalgamation of disparate sources of power into a single ideological scheme, a scheme which proponents deny actually exists. James Burnham is one of the few conservatives worth reading because as a political theorist and sociologist, he really had no peer of respect to the intuition he had for the workings of the modern state. One of the fictions that is touted out by the right-wingers fairly consistently is that there's some kind of tension or conflict of interest between private capital and government in modern states. This simply isn't the case.
Because they're the same entity.
Yeah, right. Business enterprises that are able to consolidate massive productive resources and are scaled to serve global markets behave essentially identical to governments. They're managerial bureaucracies that are fundamentally oriented towards perpetuating their own survival and increasing the scope and reach of their dominion. They will and do axiomatically operate to preclude, eliminate, and otherwise sabotage institutions that potentially or actually can rival their power. Concomitant with this, business organizations in a managerial strait are forced to negotiate political circumstances because their continued productivity is contingent upon cooperation from other bureaucracy, loci of power, public and ostensibly private. The implementations of policies by government that guards their mutual interests, etc. This is essential to the failure of libertarian thought. At odds with the history and human nature, they claim that private capital will voluntarily limit its drive towards monopoly and avoid rent-seeking behaviors on grounds of a purported moral commitment to the maintenance of free markets. It's like when Jeffersonians talk about limited government and claim that written constitutions guaranteed its fiction. It's as if governments will somehow opt to voluntarily limit their own sovereignty when they are endowed with absolute authority over political affairs.
As a side point, it has been a while since I've met a libertarian or an ANCAP that has tried to support the NAP.
It's been a while since I've met a libertarian recently.
Well, I've met libertarians, but none of them actually are behind the NAP. The NAP, I think, has justifiably died out, and I welcome its death because it was a fucking retarded idea to begin with.
I fucking agree, right? All right, so all of this, however, mostly just speaks to the structures of power in the modern state, not the underlying ideological basis. The ethics of capitalism, if we can ever speak of capitalism anymore as a meaningful category of political economy, are grounded in a liberal theory of human nature and morality, a theory that is dogmatically anti-racist, individualistic, and which posits that society is nothing more than an artifact of individual desires and wishes, the only legitimate role of authority being to guarantee that the parameters of mutual self-interest and non-interference therein is preserved. The internecine rivalries of communists and liberals is an interesting topic on this point. I recall Noam Chomsky during one of his lecture series from the 1980s, since published in book format, raised the ire of his ideological comrades when, in response to a student question about the Republic of South Africa and its reported capitalist excesses, he responded by pointing out that the RSA wasn't a capitalist state in any meaningful sense, on grounds of the fact that capitalism and liberalism are essentially synonymous, ethically, and reduce man to a discrete and isological economic integer. The South Africans were implementing a kind of high protectionism in order to preserve their racial stock and thus sustain a concrete political order based on white law. This was extraordinarily costly, and by the logic of capitalism, most cost prohibitive. A nigger's coolie's labor is as good as a white man's by capitalist logics. In other words, if the nigger provides ineducable, the productive process can simply be revised and simplified. This, of course, was Peter Drucker's vision of the efficient capitalist managerial method. You can be a white nationalist or you can be a capitalist. You can't be both. To suggest otherwise is tantamount to suggesting that a God-fearing communist would exist.
I would agree that you can't be a nationalist and a capitalist. You got to choose one. I think that's fair. And given how much I love capitalism, I would say, we got to choose nationalism.
Go. This is the problem I think that we're running into. You know what I mean? At a base, a racialist state abrogates labor capital mobility and is hence anti-capitalist. This is why when Congress began to enforce private desegregation here in America, they did so under the auspices of the Commerce Clause. It was not merely a matter of formal expediency. Rather, segregation was bad for business and unreasonable interfered with interstate commerce. High capitalism, as you refer to it, is not corporatist, nor is it national socialist. High capitalism is a condition in which private capital and non-state actors are able to effect complete control over the state apparatus and manipulate the state apparatus to facilitate maximum profits and minimize attendant costs of doing business, i.e. overhead. By the mid-1960s, America had become infected with pure capitalism, and that is why the desegregation issue was forced by the legislature at the time.
I think, are we not currently living under a corporatist structure? Is this high capitalism different than corporatism?
Yeah, corporatism's kind of like a little bit different of a thing, right? Because corporatism's actually a political movement thing. It's actually like a political structure.
It feels to me as though we're living under corporatism, but
I mean, there's no difference. Like corporations are governments.
They're monarchies.
No, they're governments. They're not even monarchies. They're ran by a board of directors and that serve the public stock.
shit, they would actually behave a lot better if they were monarchies.
Yeah. I'd love to say they're monarchies, but they're not. Right? Like the CEO kind of makes decisions,